There's a small organ within the brain that shapes how people perceive their environment and sense what is around them. It's called the amygdala, and it sends signals to the brain when there's a fearful or threatening situation. It's closely connected to the hippocampus, and the hippocampus is where short-term memories are stored. And the amygdala and hippocampus together help make up part of the limbic system, which is often referred to as the emotional center of the brain. The limbic system can have a large influence on how people think, act, behave, as it connects and sends signals to many other parts of the brain. The amygdala, when active, often signals a response to the brain and body, which activates a cascade of hormonal systems that can signal one to be in a very active, alert, and on guard state. This is known as the fight or flight response. When the brain gets in this state, it sends signals to the body to produce a hormone called cortisol. Now, cortisol is a stress hormone, and if this stress response is active for too long, it can lead to medical problems such as hypertension, heart disease, or psychiatric problems such as anxiety or depression. The brain really is the driving source for all of one's thoughts, emotions, and actions. There's a part of the brain that helps guide movements, a part with sensory perception, a part for vision, for hearing, and so forth. The brain even directs our breathing without any conscious realization that we're doing it. And so there's so many things that the brain does that we just may take it for granted. Going back to the amygdala, not only does the amygdala help sense fearful or threatening situations, but it also plays a role in other emotions such as anxiety, anger, fear. When the limbic system and emotional center is overactive, it's important for people to learn how to calm it down and make it more calm and steady. Otherwise, people may react very impulsively, get very emotional, and make choices that they regret. So there are several different ways to calm down this part of the brain. The frontal region of the brain is involved with thinking, planning, organizing, and decision making. One can use the frontal part of the brain and use their thoughts and plans and organization to help calm down the deeper structures in the brain, such as the amygdala and the emotional center. For example, if one has control over their thoughts, they can change their emotions, and they can use various psychotherapy techniques to help redirect their thoughts so that it calms down those deeper structures in the brain. Now, there are many different techniques, and some people may respond to others. Some people may respond to certain techniques more than others. And I've talked about various techniques in previous videos, such as cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, and mindfulness. You can find these videos under my psychotherapy playlist. If it's too difficult to redirect the thoughts and change the emotions, then it's really important to consider meeting with a clinician to get started on medications. The medications are thought to help to calm down the deep structures of the brain, like the emotional center, the amygdala center. And when that is more calm, it's going to be easier for someone to redirect their thinking, their planning, to use their front part of the brain better to then calm down the deeper structures. In other words, when people have more ability to change how they're thinking, just makes it easier to change how they behave, how they act. Fear is a natural emotion, as we have seen in the deep structures of the brain and with the amygdala, but it's also deeply based in spiritual principles. For example, King Solomon in the book of Proverbs states that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. In other words, fear can drive people to be closer to God, to encourage them to stay away from negative or bad behaviors that might hurt themselves or others, motivate and encourage them to do good behaviors and good actions, think good thoughts that'll help and build themselves up and build others up. Anger is also a natural emotion, and we also see this characteristic in some of the Bible's most holiest people. Moses, for example, showed that he got really angry when he slammed the 10 Commandments onto the ground, breaking them. And he got angry because of sin and because of the people that were disobeying God. That is a good example to how humans should direct their anger. They should direct their anger at evil and sin to make sure it's not in their life. Just like the amygdala center shows that anger and fear and anxiety can be closely intertwined, the Bible helps to guide and direct us what to do when we are feeling these emotions. Spiritually, we should use fear to get closer to God, and we should use anger to stay away from evil and to hate evil. There are many verses in the Bible that talk about anxiety, anger, fear, and if applied correctly, can probably help to calm down that emotional center in the brain and also help us strengthen the front part of the brain so that we have more ability to calm that down and just have more self-control and ability to do whatever we want in life that is good. Many times people worry things that is not in their control, and even in addiction programs there's a serenity prayer that's often prayed, and it goes, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. In a way, by increasing one's belief, knowledge, and faith in God, it may increase the strength and power of the frontal part of their brain so they may have more ability to redirect and change the other parts of the brain, like the emotional center, the amygdala, the hippocampus, and have more control over how they direct and shape their life.